Hey everybody, good afternoon. It's David Breslauer with MerlinOne, and Randy Simpson has joined me. A little change this month. We're doing GoToMeeting instead of GoToWebinar. But I went ahead and I muted everybody just because it makes it a little bit easier for me to get through what I need to do without hearing the background noise and things like that. So I've muted you. If you have a question, please text Randy and I in the chat window at the bottom. So there's a chat window, and everybody can see your questions. And I'll periodically open my chat window so I can go see the questions. I see that Susan is saying hello because she doesn't have a microphone. So nobody has a microphone as far as I'm concerned right now. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started? So as always, we're going to keep this to about 30 minutes. I am recording this session, so I have reminded myself. I'm going to do my short presentation, ask your questions in the webinar chat window, and your questions do not have to be related to today's topic, and again, about 30 minutes. So real quickly, I'm just going to kind of talk about what I'm going to show you real fast. So what we want to talk about today are the new features that will be arriving with the latest version of our MerlinX client, our web client. It's going to be version 5.4, and it is currently in QA, and we expect to start installing it on customer computers on their servers in December sometime. I don't have an exact timeline for that yet, but that's our expectation, is to start rolling it out. Some of the cool new things that we're going to talk about today: we've got great new editing capabilities. We've got cropping in our web client and also image transformation, so you can save the file out in different formats, and I'm going to show you how that works. And then, because I don't really have a good heading for it, I'm just calling it miscellaneous odds and ends, and we've got lots of cool things there to talk about as well. So in terms of new editing capabilities, some of the things I'm going to show you today will include the ability to sequentially rename files. It's not unusual for us to have files stored in Merlin called image 1, image 2, image 3, or DSC 107, 108, 109, and so on, as they've come from digital cameras. And we've created the ability to go in and sequentially rename files, and you control every bit about the file name. And I'll show you how that works. It's pretty cool. Find and replace. This is a great feature, and it allows you to select items, one or more items on the screen, and basically do a find and replace in the metadata. And you choose the metadata fields that get acted on. So if you've uploaded a bunch of items and realize you misspelled somebody's name, you can go in and tell Merlin to find the misspelled item and replace it with the correctly spelled item. So that's kind of a cool thing, and that's new. We have a new commenting feature, so you can comment on collections or on individual items, and I'll talk about that. That's great for collaboration. You can copy and paste metadata, so you can copy metadata from one record to another, and we also have the addition of templates for metadata. I know we have templates currently, but they only exist in the edit multiple area. We've also added templates to the upload form. The other thing that's cool is we've made embedded links clickable. So if you're adding information in metadata or passing information back to Merlin in publication metadata, it can now be a clickable link, and you can actually go to where the picture was actually used, and I'll show you how that works. It's pretty cool. As far as cropping and image transformation, cropping, I mean, that kind of says it all. You can crop content any way you want. You can size it any way you want, and you can use predefined aspect ratios. So if you know you want something to be 16 by 9, you can just select that as your aspect ratio, and it will pre-crop the picture at that aspect ratio for you. You can also save the cropped item as a new version, So that is something that we've added, and then it's related to our versioning functionality. And as I mentioned earlier, you can export the content in other image formats. So if you've stored a TIFF or a JPEG or a RAW file and you want it out in another format like a PNG or a GIF, you can do that, and it's very easy to do, and I'll show you how that works. In terms of odds and ends, we've got some new reports, and I'll talk a little bit about reporting when we get there. You can expire users, so for those of you that need to set up temporary access for users, you can do that. You can also fine-tune your gallery view. We have the ability to add custom badges, and so that's kind of a really cool thing that we've done. Additional sort order options. So previously you were limited to sorting on things like the date input or the date published. Well, we've added the ability to sort on virtually any field in the database. And so if you want to search on the byline, you can do that. If you wanted to search on some other field like the category field or the supplemental category, you can do that. And we've made it easy for an admin user to add additional sort options to the sort area. And also, and this is a little thing, but it's kind of elegant, is every time we have an update to the Merlin manual, we post it up on our web server. And what we've done is we've added a link to that current version of the manual that you can actually access directly out of the web client. And I'll show you how that works. It's a pretty cool thing. So I'm going to bail out of my slideshow and take you straight away to Merlin, and we'll talk about all of the things, all of the new and cool things that we've done in Merlin. So just to start off the list, we've talked about new editing capabilities, and at the top of that list was the ability to sequentially rename files. So let's just pick these 4 files. Okay, and in my edit menu, and you'll notice my edit menu has many more items than it previously had. It has this sequential rename, which is what we're going to talk about right now. You can actually reserve content. For those of you that recall our rich client, that was a function in our rich client. It's now moved into our web client as well. That's a new feature as well. Find and replace. And so let's go back and talk specifically about sequentially file renaming. So I've got these 4 items selected, and my sequential rename dialog tells me that it's going to affect these 4 objects. And how do I want it to behave? Do I want to do an append, the existing file name, or prepend the existing file name, or replace the existing file name with something else? And I can choose how many numbers are going to be used, how many digits will be used in my sequential renaming. So it could be 1 digit or 2 digits or 3 digits. And so if it's 3 digits, it's going to use 001, 002, and so on and so forth. What do you want the initial number to start at? You could make it 0, or you could make it start at 100. So you choose the initial number that you want it to start with. You can even add an optional stem. So if I'm going to name these files demo photos, okay, and you can see down here at the bottom how it's going to rename these files. So it's going to start demo photos 000, but if I wanted to start with number 1, okay, and so again it's demo photos 001, and whatever file extension happens to be on those files, it's not going to change that. And so you can see how I can choose to do a replace or a prepend or append, and you can see how it's going to change the file name, right? So in this case, it's using my stem here with the extension, and then it's leaving the original name intact. Or I can do an append, which puts everything at the tail end of it. So it's original name, and I'm going to make it space demo photos 001.ext. So you can see how you have great fine-tuning control over how these files will be renamed. Simply click apply, and it will go in and update the object name for all of these files in Merlin. So that's kind of a cool thing to be able to do. Okay, I'm going to just pause for a second and see if anyone has any questions, and it doesn't look like we've got any so far. So I'm going to keep on going. So let's talk about find and replace. So again, in my edit menu, I can choose find and replace, and you can select, I'd like to look in all fields, Or maybe you only want to fix the byline field because you misspelled your name in the credit or byline field. So you can choose, again, all fields or the specific fields you want to search on. Okay, and if it's more than one field, you can hold down the control key on Windows or the command key on your Mac and choose multiple fields, and you can basically find this and replace it with that. Click apply, and it will swing through all of the selected images, in this case just these 4, and it will update the metadata and of course re-index that metadata for searching purposes. So that's kind of a cool thing that we're now doing. All right, let's move on to adding comments. Okay, this is a new feature, and notice in my metadata palette, I've got an additional icon in the top of my metadata palette. It says that there's one comment on this particular item. If I click on the next item, notice my commenting icon is grayed out. That means there's no comments. And if you want to actually see the comments, all you have to do is click the commenting icon, and you can see someone added a comment. I did that, saying nice football snap, and you can add another comment here and click send, and it's going to update the record with the additional comment. Okay, and that's kind of a cool thing. Comments are searchable, and when you set up your own profile in Merlin, rather than using the generic photo that I've selected here, you'd actually be able to, when you edit your profile, you can type in what your friendly name should be, because at some of our customers, their usernames are a string of letters and numbers that aren't very friendly. So you could type in the friendly name. So I could say, instead of David B, I could put in my entire name as my friendly name and my email address. And also I can drag a picture into here to change my profile picture. Without dragging one in here, it's going to use the generic picture. So that's kind of a cool thing to do. And commenting allows you to not only comment on individual items, as I've done on here, you can also comment on collections. So for example, I've got this collection called Best Jets, and you can see that my commenting icon turned red, and there are 2 comments on this particular item. And if we want to open it up, you can see, hey, a user called Hosted Admin said, hey, what do you think? And I commented back, I like Jets. So you can add comments here. I want this touched up. Can you crop it this way? Can you color correct it? So there are lots of interesting ways to add comments, and this is just the beginning of our commenting workflow. This is our first iteration of it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. One of my favorite new things in the client is the ability to copy metadata. So at the bottom of my metadata panel, I've got a new button, and you can see my tooltip says copy metadata. And so if I click on that, it copies the metadata from this particular photo. And then when I go to my edit multiple form, it allows me to paste it in there. Okay, so when I click my paste button, it basically updates my edit multiple area with all of the metadata that came from the previous photo. And notice it set all of my edit multiple fields correctly in terms of replacing or whatever. And all I have to do is click apply, and it's going to update the metadata for all of the photos that I have selected on the screen. And I'm not actually going to do that, but you can see how easy it is to save the metadata. Now, for those of you that have seen MerlinMX before or have been using it, you know that you can actually save templates, okay? And you can actually save your template. So if I wanted to save this existing template, and I could give it a name, and I could call it Cowboys template, okay? And I can save that. And to re-invoke the template, all I have to do is say load, and I get my list of previous templates. And if I just say load this one or load this one, it updates the metadata with the new values. You can see it put my name in the creator field this time. And I'm not going to click apply, but you can see how easy it is to copy metadata from one record and use that as a master to either build a template or to apply to lots of other photos all at once. So that's a nice thing. And something that we've added is in our upload form, we've also created the ability to paste metadata in here as well. So click paste, and it grabs all of that previously saved metadata and pasted it in there. And again, I can save this as a template as well. So if I want to go see what previously templates I've saved, I haven't saved any upload templates. So if I wanted to save this as an upload template, I just click save and call it Cowboys template. Without the misspelling, click save, and that becomes one of my templates that gets saved. So that's kind of a cool thing. And I wanted to show you that because I like it. Something else that's new is we've made it so that if you include a clickable link information inside of a field as metadata, so notice I've got this picture of Tony Romo with a hat, and you can see in my source field I have a fully formed URL, and if I click on that, it's going to open that website in a browser window and basically take me to the page where that picture was actually used, okay? And so you can see I can add a clickable link into any field you want, and that could be information that comes back automatically from a publishing system, or it could be something that's added manually or is added at the time of upload. It used to be that we would kind of not handle those fully formed URLs very well, and now we do. Okay, I'm going to pause just for a second before I go on to my next area to see if we have any questions. It doesn't look like I see any in the chat window, so I'm going to just keep on going. The next item is the ability to, we talked about cropping and image transformation. And so let's say I've got this football picture of Tony Romo. And again, I could make lots of comments about him. He may have permanently lost his job with the Dallas Cowboys because Dak Prescott is doing so great. But let's say I want to crop this photo. Okay, so I've got this photo and I've got my crop dialog. And so I click crop. And here's my crop dialog, and I can actually, drag the crop window around and crop this any way I want it to be. So you can see if I need something wide horizontal or if I want to make it a vertical. I've got lots of things I can do here. I can also actually size the image. So if I know I want this image to be 5 inches wide, or I know I want it to be a certain number of points or picas or centimeters, I can work on those other units as well. And so this is going to represent a 5 by 3 inch photo the way it's currently cropped. And when it comes out, the resolution will be set to 200 pixels per inch because that's how it's set. I can adjust the angle or the rotation of the crop if I need to, or if I know I need it to be exactly a 16 by 9 crop, I can choose 16 by 9, and no matter how I try and draw this box, it's going to force it to a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. My other options allow me, I can turn off some guides. Okay, so the guides disappear, or now the guides come back. And if I want to, if I check create a new version, when I click save, what it's actually going to do is leave the existing file in there untouched, but it's going to add this file as a new version of the original file. If I don't check this box, all it's doing is putting cropping instructions on it that might get applied on download. Okay, and the reason I notice it's showing me the crop here, and again, it's a soft crop because I didn't save it as a new version, but when I go to output the file, and notice we've split out the download button from the export button. This was based on your feedback. A lot of our customers told us, we liked it better when the download button was right here on the toolbar and we didn't have to go look for it in the export area, which we've now relabeled share. So I'm going to click on download, and so my download options now include, in addition to resampling the images, which has always been there, I can apply the crop, or I can do either one of these things. I can choose to output the image in a different file format. So if I know I want this as a PNG or a GIF, I can do that and just click download, and the file will be delivered to me in the new file format. So we're doing the image transformations. Okay, I'm going to go check and see if there are any questions. Nope, not so far. So let's keep on going. Okay, in the odds and ends, wow, we've got a bunch of things here and they're all kind of unrelated. So let's talk about some new reports first. So first of all, in the admin area, okay, and it used to be the only way to access the reports is if you had full-on admin access. Well, one of the things we've changed is now you can access the reports without that full-on admin access, okay? So that's new. And so you can give some of your users or all of your users the ability to access the reporting area without having the ability to access all of these other features in the admin area. And we've got some new reports, specifically a report on providing user data about specific users, or all of the a list of all of the users, or a list of all of the groups. So those are some of the new reports. And we've also added or improved a number of the existing reports based on your feedback. Some people wanted the Merlin ID included in certain reports, or you wanted additional search filters in the reports, and so we've added those in the report area. Let's talk about some other things that are in the admin area. You now have the ability to expire a user, okay? So one of our new features up here at the top, you can type in or use the calendar picker to plug in a date, and when that date rolls around, those users will disappear from the system. So if you set up a user and you want them to only have temporary access, you can set it up so that their account automatically purges. So that's kind of a cool thing. All right, I'm going to back out of the admin area just for a second, although we may be coming back to it. And I want to go back to my gallery view to show you some other things that we've done. Notice on some of these pictures in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little icon, okay? This is a little Getty icon as opposed to this little icon for the Associated Press in the upper right-hand corner. And so what we've done is we've given you the ability to upload custom icons. You could even, for example, in my case, in photos where my name appears in the credit, notice it's put a little icon that says DB in the upper right-hand corner of items where my name appears in the credit field. So I've added my initials to that. And so what we've done is we've made it so you can upload custom icons and you can trigger those icons in the upper right-hand corner or the upper left-hand corner. You get to choose that, of the images, of the thumbnails. And we've also included that information in our hover text at the bottom. So you can see I've got additional fields here. So you can now add to the fields that appear in the hover text, and you can also add, for example, the icons there as well. So if you didn't know that a DB meant the credit had my name in it, now you do, because I've added that to the hover text. And we've given you the ability to configure that in the admin area, in this new area called badge config. Okay, and you can see where I can set up my badges. And so I'm going to wait for this to populate for a second, but you can see here if the credit says AP, it's going to put this badge called AP.png. Or if it says Associated Press, it's going to use the same PNG file. Or if it says Getty, it's going to put a Getty. Or if it says my name. So we can upload, our customer service department can upload these custom badges that you create, and then you can choose to invoke them. And then you can also choose in the gallery hover what fields you want to appear in the gallery hover area. So if you want, for example, the rights usage terms or special instructions to appear in that hover area, you can set it up here. So we've given you lots more granular control over what you're going to see in the hover text and in the badges. Some of our customers don't want to see the star ratings, so we've made it so you could hide those as an example. Okay, something else that's new, in the sort order, you notice that this list is a little bit longer than you might be familiar with, because we have given you the ability to add to this list so you can create any sort orders you want, and you can name them whatever you want. And again, we do that in the admin area down here at the bottom in sort order, and you can see that I added one called creator. It's based on the creator or byline field, and I changed the label to be creator parentheses byline ascending because it's doing an ascending. And so you can add additional sorts to the default sorts, and you can actually adjust them as to where they appear in the list. So you can just click the button here and it will move the item higher in the list of custom custom sorts, or lower in the list of custom sorts. So that's something that's new. A couple of other little tiny things that I just think make things a little more elegant. In the admin area, we've made it so that you can go download whatever the current version of the manual is, and it knows which version you are running. So if you're running 5.2, because we haven't done the upgrades yet, it will download the 5.2 manual. Actually, it won't, because that's not part of 5.2. But as we go forward with new versions of Merlin, and as our customers get upgraded, regardless of the version that you're running, just click on Download Manual, and it's going to deliver the manual to you. So that's new. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about, and then we'll get to any questions that you might have, is we've added some new themes. And again, this came directly from your comments and suggestions. And so one of the new themes we've created is this one called Merlin Pro. And so it's basically dark background, okay, with images. And so you can see what we've done here. So we're putting a dark background around your content. Okay, so that's something that's new. The other new theme that we've done, and this theme is about accessibility. It's a super high contrast theme, and you can see it right here. It's called High Contrast Dark. And what it does is it puts yellow text on a dark black background rather than a gray black background. And this is, again, to help make the system a little bit more accessible for people that might have some sort of visual impairment. So that's what that's all about. So I'm going to go back and change it to my favorite theme, and I just like to use Aristo. Okay, and that's my favorite theme. And okay, let's see. Oh, there questions are going on in the background. Randy's answered, there was an API question. I'll go ahead and read it. So Tim Stefan has asked, is there an API to query, insert, or update items in Merlin? The short answer is yes. And we can, Randy can send you a description of the APIs. Okay, so we do have a description, and so we can send that to you. And Randy, we can continue that conversation outside of this. Any other questions that you might have? I'm going to go ahead and see if I can unmute people, if it will let me. Well, it's being a little stubborn, so I may not be able to unmute everybody. So anyway, if you have any other questions, feel free to stick them in the chat window, or if you want to contact Randy and I offline, you know how to do that. That would be great. And look at that. I managed to fill almost all 30 minutes today. So why don't we call it a wrap? Thanks for your time, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you next month. And actually, Tim, it may be interesting you. One of the things we're going to talk about next month is different ways to upload content to Merlin. And most of you are familiar with doing it by FTP or the web upload form, but we've got other ways to get content into Merlin as well, and that's what we're going to talk about next month. So until then, thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.